here. Thanks for joining us. PACE Concussion, our weekly video comment. Rowan has posted an article on fire department in the U.S. adding baseline concussion testing to the annual physical examination. So this raises a couple of interesting points with respect to concussion in general. First of all, baseline testing. At the Concussion in Sport Group meeting in Berlin in 2016, baseline testing was discussed, and the consensus statement says that it's not necessary for the management of concussion patients, and this is absolutely true. But necessary does not mean that it's not useful, not helpful, and in some cases, I think, almost essential to the care of concussion patients. I certainly advocate for baseline testing. The Canadian Association of Sports and Exercise Medicine came up with a statement that countered Parachute Canada's position against baseline testing, and CASM said or repeated the point of view from the Concussion in Sport Group. And again, to repeat myself, baseline testing isn't essential, but it is useful. And I certainly recommend it and support it in many instances. It makes my job easier when I'm helping patients recover. The second point I wanted to make was about helmets. The article talks about firemen wearing helmets. It's important to note that helmets don't prevent concussion. There are no concussion-proof helmets available, but certainly wearing helmets is important to protect against head injuries, lacerations, skull fractures, particularly in certain sports like biking and snowboarding, where there's really strong evidence to show that they're protective. But I'd wear them wherever there's a risk of hitting your head and you're doing an activity where there's a risk of falling from a bike, from the end of a rope while climbing, et cetera, et cetera. And the final comment I'd make is about work-related concussions. I deal with both work-related concussions and sports-related concussions, and my experience suggests that there's a different trajectory to each, that the worker and MVA-related concussions tend to take longer and are often a little more difficult, whereas the sports-related concussions tend to improve at a more predictable trajectory or timeline. Many possible reasons for this, and it's interesting that just this month, a paper by Grant Iverson, who used to be at UBC and he's now at Harvard, and he's one of the world's experts in concussion medicine, looked at the recovery trajectory in sports-related concussions versus work-related and showed that they were essentially the same. I found this quite interesting because it's different than my experience. Certainly, we want to protect our workers and have them recover in a predictable and smooth and forward fashion. So this fire department and other work-related businesses and activities need to look at PACE concussion. It would really help them streamline their recovery process. Take care. I hope fathers out there had a great Father's Day. I did. See you next week.